Do you have an old Amazon Kindle that's about to be abandoned by Amazon and you're frustrated that you have to upgrade now? You have options. Hey Boat Dragons, I am so glad that you're here with me today. I can't believe the timing of this announcement from Amazon because I just recently hit my 1 year anniversary of owning a Kobo. That's right, about a year ago I decided that I was going to abandon Amazon Kindle for the most part and exclusively use a Rakuten, or however you say it, Kobo. And I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the Kobo, but first, let's talk about the Amazon controversy, because that's obviously front and center of this argument. And a lot of people are going to be greatly affected by this announcement. So they recently made an announcement that Amazon Kindles of a certain age will no longer be supported by Amazon as far as receiving updates, as far as being able to access the Kindle store and buy books on your Kindle. And this is rubbing a lot of people wrong because one of the nice things about an e-reader, unless it just dies one day, you don't really have to buy another one unless you want to, which I know a few people that own several different models of e-readers, and that's fine. Most people just have one e-reader. I know I did prior to upgrading to the Kobo. If I was still using the Kindle, I don't know if this would affect me. I haven't checked the age range officially to get a list of all the Kindles that are being disenfranchised. But it's become apparent that Amazon no longer wants to support their older Kindle lineups. And so what do? Now you're forced to upgrade if you ever want to buy new ebooks. But here's the thing. You don't have to upgrade to a newer Kindle. You can go completely away from Amazon and upgrade to something like a Kobo, which I'm going to talk about today, but there's others out there too. You don't have to just choose Kobo. You can choose others. So I just happened to choose the Kobo, but you could read on your phone if you like to read on your phone. You could read on an iPad. You can read wherever you want to and still have access to the Kindle, even in some respects, depending on your choice. So you have options. But I think this is a great opportunity for you if you are one of those many, many thousands, probably, of Amazon customers who bought a Kindle 10 years ago, probably now, and you will no longer be able to use your Kobo. And this is nothing new, right? Planned obsolescence is built into a lot of different technology models. Apple does it, all smartphone manufacturers do it, other e-reader companies do it too. I mean, Kobo probably does it. So at some point, you're going to have to upgrade, whether it's your phone or an e-reader or a computer or whatever. They don't last forever, and they're not supported forever. What do you do in that case? If you need to upgrade, do you need to be stuck with one company? And the answer is no. So I'm going to tell you about my experience with the Kobo, and it's been a year now, so I've had a lot of experience using it and found things I liked, a few things that bothered me a little bit but aren't deal breakers, and we'll talk about those, okay? So if you have snacks or drinks that you want to consume while you're watching this video, please do so now. You can pause here. I will be anxiously waiting for your return. And if you're back, let's launch into my thoughts on the Kobo. And I will say, overall, that I have had a fantastic experience switching. So if that's all you wanted to hear, if that's all you needed, and you don't want to watch any further, I understand. I'm sorry to see you go, but I understand. But if you want to stick around and hear my further thoughts, please do, okay? I went with the Kobo Libra Color, and or Color. That's how it looks because it's spelled that way. But I went with the Kobo Libra Color, and so it is a color e-reader. And I went with the color because I like seeing my book covers in color, and you can kind of see there on the screen that all the book covers are in color. And that means you can highlight in color too. So I thought that was really cool. So I went with the Kobo Libra Color. It was a little bit more expensive, but in the long run, I think it's going to be worth it to me. And it also has the clicky buttons, which is kind of cool. So you've got the page turn buttons there, which other models of the Kobo don't have, but none of the Kindles have those. So you've got the back and forward buttons on there. I really, really like that. It gives you that nice aesthetic feel to press the button and, just feel the weight of your finger going down on the button and turning the page and everything. And you can tap the screen too, just like you can on a Kindle. So I've really enjoyed my experience with that though. So first of all, I want to talk about how it feels, okay? And I really like the way the Kobo feels. So it's heavier than the Kindle, for sure. Especially if you have a Kindle Paperwhite or just a basic Kindle, they're really light. They're really light. So this is a bit heavier. It definitely feels like you're holding a tablet, but not overly so. It's not cumbersome. It's just a little weightier in the hand. And that brings me to the case function, because if you have a case on the Kobo, that helps a lot with holding it. So I have a folio type case on my Kobo, and you can see I put stickers all over it. Read more books, I always talk about reading more books, and of course I've got my TARDIS on the back there. So that's a nice thing too. You can put a nice case on it and put stickers on it, although you can probably do that with the Kindle too. But the nice thing about this is the case has a magnetic front, so when you close the case, it puts your Kobo into sleep mode, which, that's nothing new with e-readers. If you get a case, that's what it does. And then I can fold it, and I can stand it up on a table. It makes a little kickstand there, so I can stand it up on a table, and I can reach over and either press or type on the buttons. But what's nice about that is I can also hold the case. It's kind of like those pop sockets, not quite like a pop socket, but it's a similar idea. But you can grip the case and hold it like that if you want to have a little bit firmer grip of it in your hand. And that's definitely helpful because of the weight factor. It can get a little bit more tiresome if you're reading for long periods of time to be holding the Kobo just in your hand. So that is maybe a drawback if you're thinking of that as a drawback. And of course, you've got the clicky buttons, as I mentioned before. So I already went over that, so I won't spend time on that. And then you can customize it. You can get all kinds of different cases for it, but you're not getting a whole lot of changes with upgrading to this as opposed to just getting yourself another Kindle. It largely feels the same. It has the same experience. So the feel and use of it is about the same. And so now let's talk about how it works. And the first thing I want to talk about is battery life. Okay? So battery life on this is really good. And I'm especially impressed by that since this is a color device and it does have the backlight and everything like that. You would think that it would only last about a week, right? But I've had this last up to 2 weeks or more with constant use, depending on what's going on. And probably some of the things that play into that are room temperature and climate and a whole bunch of other things that play into how long a battery lasts before you have to charge it, right? So that all factors in, but I've gotten a good solid 2 weeks of use out of this on average before I have to think about charging it. And that really impresses me. And so you might be wondering, well, Chaz, how's the reading experience? I love reading on my Kobo. It's a little bit larger screen than the Paperwhite, and it's a little bit brighter. Even if you turn the Kindle Paperwhite all the way up on the brightness setting, this still gets brighter, at least in my experience. It's easier on the eyes, and of course, you can change the font on this like you can on a Kindle. And I really like that. But you've got a lot of options as far as reading goes on this device. And the page turns are really quick. It doesn't feel like I'm taking any time at all to turn the page. So they're snappy. They're just real quick. You can turn on or off the page turn animations, but I don't notice any lag. And I've had this for a year, right? So after a while, you would expect it to start to deteriorate, but I haven't noticed anything, and it still turns just as snappy as it did before, and I just really love the reading experience on my Kobo. So what about adding books to your e-reader? That is where it's not as convenient as the Kindle. So if you're buying books directly from the Kobo store, it's just like the Kindle. No changes. If you are buying books elsewhere, though, like just EPUBs that you find on the internet, maybe you're going to the author's website or something like that, or maybe you're getting books off of Humble Bundle, which I do highly recommend Humble Bundle. They often have good bundles of books that you can buy for a really cheap price, and the money goes to charities. So that's a good option as well, but that's just a side note. If you're buying books elsewhere, it does take longer. And the reason it takes longer is because you don't have an email to send it to like you do on the Kindle. You just send whatever files you need to a specific email that goes to your device. You can't really do that with the Kobo. However, you do still have options. You can download books from Dropbox or Google Drive or things like that and still get them directly to your Kobo, because you can sign into your Dropbox and Google Docs accounts and download directly from those right to your device. So there is that workaround. But let's say that you want to convert books to a more user-friendly format that works directly and natively with the Kobo. You can do that. It's a program called Caliber, and it's a PC-only program, although they do have a subnetwork or whatever that you can create where you can access it from any website or share it with someone if you want to share your link to the server that it's on that's connected to Caliber. You can do that, but there are some security issues with that. So it's really recommended that you just have the program downloaded to your computer, and you can connect a number of different devices. So if you want to share your books that you own with your partner, you can just have them connect their e-reader to your computer and download the books. It's really easy to share in a household if you've got multiple readers in your household. But you do have to connect the device to Caliber. That is really the best experience for adding books that are not purchased on the Kobo store. So I would say that is a slight drawback. It's not really bothersome, but some people will find it more challenging than if they stuck with the Kindle ecosystem. Okay? If you purchase books from Kobo, it's still got some DRM in there, digital rights management, And so it's like Amazon in that respect as well if you're buying directly from Kobo. Although there is more of a sense of ownership with Kobo ebooks than there is with Amazon. So with Amazon, you just don't own them, period. With Kobo, you still kind of do. There's gray areas there, but I won't go into those. To sum it all up, you do have several different options to get ebooks onto your Kobo without having to connect to a computer, but connecting to the computer is the best experience. And just like with other e-readers, if you happen to walk away from your device for a time and you get distracted by something and you come back to it, it's going to have a screensaver just like the Kindle does, or other devices I'm sure have it as well. But the cool thing is, with an Amazon Kindle, you are going to have an ad pop up on the screen. Most likely, unless you have bought a device that does not have ads on it, you have to pay a little bit more for that. With Kobo, there's no ads. And I'm sure most of the other e-readers out there that are not Amazon don't have ads when you go to the screensaver. What it does instead is it shows a picture of the book you are reading. And if you happen to be on a Kobo Libra Color, it's going to be in color. And it's going to show the little percentage of how far you are in the book with a nice picture of your book on the screen. And then if you're ready to read again, you just press the button and you're ready to read again. So as you can see here, I am currently reading A Song for Our Barn by Guy Gavriel Kay. There's the nice little color picture of my book on the screensaver, and it shows that it's in sleep mode, and it shows a percentage there. Now, it does cut off the book cover. That's just a thing. There might be a way to turn that off. I have not discovered that yet, but that might be an option. But at least you get to see a nice color picture of the book you're reading. So if you happen to forget in the 20 minutes since you walked away from the book what you're reading, you can see it there, which book you're currently reading, and decide, okay, do I want to read that book or do I want to read another book? And you can do that too. You can go to your home screen, and if you got several books open, as I do, you'll be able to choose which one you're going to read next. And I don't know how many you can have open at one time on the device, but I've had at least 6 open on here that I've been flipping back and forth between, and it hasn't been a problem. So it's a really great device. You do have options to discover new books. There's a whole Discover tab that you can go to that will show you new books that it recommends for you and stuff like that. But it's not always front and center and bombarding you with, hey, you should buy this book, you should buy this book. Your main page is going to have the books you're currently reading. So that is a really nice feature here that in most cases you're not going to get with an Amazon Kindle. Even if you bought a Kindle that does not have the ads included on it, you're still going to see front and center every time you turn on your Kindle all the books that Amazon wants you to buy, instead of just being able to go right back to the book you were reading easily. One other thing I want to talk about that I really like is being able to easily access the library. So if your local library supports the Overdrive system, which most people use Libby for that, if that is supported, whenever you are searching on Libby and you see a book that you want to borrow, you can borrow it right from the app on your phone if you want to. And then you can go to your device and it will appear on your device. Now, I will say, usually I have to manually sync my device in order for it to download the new library book that I just borrowed. But that's really easy to do. It only takes a few seconds. but that is one extra step. However, you don't have to borrow the book from your phone. You can go right from your Kobo to Overdrive, and it will bring up your local library and what is available to you through your local library, and you can borrow it right on your device. That is something that I have not been able to do directly on an Amazon Kindle ever. You can add books to your Kindle with Libby, but it's a bit of a workaround. So you've got two different options with this. You can borrow library books directly from your device, or you can add them on the app and then sync your device, and it will show, hey, you borrowed a book from your local library. And I just absolutely love that. And you can do that with ebooks or audiobooks. You can use both of those on the Kobo. I have not done audiobooks on the Kobo because I just use my phone. But if you wanted to, you could add an audiobook to your Kobo and listen to it. You would just have to connect some Bluetooth headphones. And you can do that because it does use Bluetooth. So overall, I've been really, really impressed with my Kobo. And it's been one of the best purchases that I have made in a long time. I get so much use out of it. And it's a universal plug. It uses USB-C, so pretty much everybody has at least one USB-C charger lying around. You can plug in any one of those to this device to charge it, and it's charged and away you go. And like I said, it'll last me a good 2 weeks before I have to do that. And I'm a constant reader. I read a lot. So I highly recommend the Kobo to you, but again, you don't have to use a Kobo. Just remember, you don't have to use a Kindle either. And I think that about covers it. That is my thoughts on using the Kobo after having used it for a year now. And I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about the Kobo? Do you own a Kobo yourself? What has been your experience with it? Are you a Kindle user and now you're going to be abandoned by Amazon and you're trying to figure out your next steps? Let me know your thoughts on the Kobo, or let me know another e-reader that you've been looking at. I'd love to dialogue with you. And if you are enjoying my content, there's more ideas for content from me on the end screen here. And I hope you're doing awesome. And until next time, make sure you read more books. Take care.